honor to present to you the graduates of Bachelor of Pharmacy. To begin with, Krupali Pritish Shah and Nishma Kesia. Karima Praveen and Akshay.
Falls in the QS World Ranking for Pharmacy and Pharmacology between 151 and 200. But wait, I don't think you guys are here to listen to that in this video, are you?
Better than I did. No, bro. Independent.
Welcome to a new video. This is Nishma from the Millennial Lifestyle Fix. In today's video, I'm going to talk about my experience of doing Bachelor's of Pharmacy B.Pharm at Manipal College of Pharmaceutical Sciences or MCOPS. I was a student at MCOPS doing my B.Pharm between 2013 to 2017. I went in to do my master's there as well, and now I've been working in Bangalore since 2 years. This video is going to be a little long because I'm going to share my entire experience of B.Pharm at MCOPS. So you can grab a snack or have your lunch and dinner while watching this video, or save it for later and come back and watch it so that you can get all the important information that I'm going to be sharing in this video. This video is aimed at prospective students who are planning to join B.Pharm at MCOPS, or their parents who are planning to enroll their kids, or for my fellow seniors, juniors and batchmates, as well as my professors, because this is going to be a sort of memory down the lane with me. And thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys enjoy this video and find it useful and informative. This right here hanging behind me is the part of my graduation gown. This is the thing that we hang behind, part of the cape, and the Manipal logo colors are orange and black. So I just hang this in my room as part of memory of my Manipal experience, because I spent 6 years over there, and that is a very big time. That is a time where I got to develop my own thoughts. So yes, Manipal holds a very special place in my life, and I wanted to make this video so that I can share my experience with all of you out there so that we can relate and connect more. Now, without any further ado, let's get into the outline of what I'm going to cover in this video, and I'm going to leave the timestamps in the description. So if there's any particular part that you want to watch, you can skip right ahead and watch that, or you can decide to watch the whole video as I make it. So I'm going to be talking about 10 things, and let's get started. In this video, I'm going to talk about 10 points like I mentioned, starting with first and foremost, which is the admissions process. I'm going to cover both general category students as well as international students. Second will be fees. So moving on to what the fee structure looks like for the hostel, food, as well as the most important part, academics. Third point which we are going to cover is going to be about food. So what is a mess, where can you eat, all of that, what are the fees for that. Point number 4 is going to be the main point, which is about academics, first year to final year, fourth year. So what is the experience, what kind of subjects are there, how is the curriculum, and all of that. Point number 5 is going to be about extracurricular activities. So throughout the year, what are the activities where you can participate, what can you expect other than academics at Manipal. Number 6 that we will be covering will be about internships, placements, student exchange opportunities, all of that. Point number 7 is going to be about exams, GRE, GPAT, and all the exams that you might give after doing your B.Pharm. Point number 8 is going to be about your final year project, which is something that you do in your fourth year. And point number 9 will be about the security, which is a big concern sometimes at Manipal and is always a question, as well as a culture around and in Manipal University. And point number 10 and the final point will be any cons which I felt during my B.Pharm experience. So if you want to watch any of these specific points, you can go to the timestamp and watch it directly. If you want to watch all of these, then please stay tuned, and let's get started. Disclaimer right here that anything I say in this video is my personal opinion and view. I'm not being sponsored, collaborated, or this is not an affiliation. It's my personal view and experience of B.Pharm, which I thought would be helpful for you guys, which is why I'm making this video. Secondly, since I did my B.Pharm 4 years ago, I reached out to a current student in B.Pharm. She's in her final year, and I wanted to talk to her about how is the class situation since it's after COVID. So what are they doing? So I have the information on that, and I'll be sharing it with you guys. Also, thirdly, I will make follow-up videos about my MPharm experience as well as my placement experience, because I got my placement through Manipal or through my college. So I'm going to make videos about that as well, and if there's anything related to Manipal University or MCOPS that you have questions about, please leave those in the description and I'll be happy to answer them. But I'll be making a total of 4 to 5 videos on college and academics, and that will be all, because this channel is much more about that. And since I am currently working and have a lot of other things to be doing, I would also be wanting to make videos related to that. So now, without any further ado, let's get started with point number 1, which is about admissions. And actually, when I'm making this video, this is the correct time, because admissions for BPharm and all the other courses in Manipal are currently open, because as you know, the normal academic year starts around June, July. So right now it's February, and I think until March end the admissions would be open. So if you want to apply to Manipal University, these are some of the things that you need to keep in mind and follow. Firstly, you can apply in 2 ways. Either you would be a general category student, or you would be an international, NRI or foreign student, and all of those are different points. So you'll have to follow a little bit over here along with me. So let's talk about general category first. If you're planning to apply this year for the BPharm course at MCOPS, then you need to apply before 15th of March. I'm going to leave the details for the application and online test fees over here. There is an online test called Manipal Entrance Test, which all the people who apply through general category need to give the test, and it is given at centers in different cities, so you can pick your center. The online application and the test and everything is very easy. So you have to create your login ID, and once you're in the portal, it will take you through each and every step, so you don't have to worry about a thing over there. And the course is going to commence this year from 12th of July. So every year the course starts around mid-July or end of July. So that is how we are going to be starting this course. And now let me talk a little bit about NRI, foreign and international students, because I personally applied as an international student for the BPharm course. I personally applied to Manipal as an international student or a foreign student, but I had the Overseas Citizenship of India card, which is OCI, which is a lifelong visa. If you don't have an OCI, you need to apply for the visa like a normal regular student. So what will happen is that when you go to the portal and apply as a foreign student, you will be taken through the entire process. So when Manipal gives you a letter asking you to be a potential student, you can use that to apply for visa from your own country of origin, and then you would be coming here. In some cases you will need to convert your grades, but you will be guided through that as well. So the same way that you apply as a general student, you have to log in and create your ID, but in this case you can also email them, and they are super helpful, very quick response, and that is how my experience was. So they will guide you through the entire thing, whether it is hostel, college, everything, all the kind of information you need, they'll be helping you out over there. So when it comes to international students, you have foreign category, which is what I applied as, with an OCI card, but I had to pay the fees for a foreign student, so which is almost 3 times the fees of what a general category student pays. The second way of applying is as an NRI sponsored or NRI student. So what NRI means is that you have your Indian passport and you are applying as an NRI, like non-residential Indian, to BPharm for MCOPS. And you can also do one more thing, which is what I did not do, but I would recommend you to do. So this Manipal entrance test, I was able to give the Manipal entrance test for my MPharm, even though I am an international student with an OCI. So which means that you would be able to give the Manipal entrance test even for BPharm. And if you give the test, it's not very hard, it is general basic stuff. If you give the test and clear the test, your fees would be reduced by 1/3 even if you're an international student. So please consider that option. There was no one to guide me, but I am telling you guys that if you have some time, even if it's a 6 months gap between your 12th standard and your college, like starting college, please look into this test, give this test, especially if you have an OCI or PIO, you would be able to give this test. And once you clear this test, you will be paying general category fees, which will save you a lot. Into the second point, which is about fees, which is actually a pretty huge deal at Manipal, because whether you are a general category student or a foreign student, it is quite expensive to study at Manipal compared to other colleges in India or maybe even outside. So let me talk a little bit about what the fees are like when I was studying. So I paid $6,700 per year for 4 years. So the fees currently in 2021 when I'm making this video are as follows. I'm going to leave them over here. This is general category fees and this is international student fee per year. So I've gone to the website and checked it out for you guys. And over here I would also like to mention that there is something called Study in India Scholarship, which is what I found out when I went to the Manipal website this year. So Study in India Scholarship is there, and I'm going to leave the link for that information in the description below. So this is, if you are a foreign student, you can apply for this scholarship. There are limited slots of course, but yes, it is applicable for BPharm course at MCOPS, and I'm going to put the details in the description below. You would also be eligible for some other scholarships if you do well in the Manipal entrance test, and if you're also like a native speaker of the language over there, or falling into some other categories, you need to check that out. You would be eligible for some scholarships, so please look into that. So that would be easy on the whole fee structure. And other than the academic fees, you have your hostel fees. So I went ahead and checked out hostel fees for you guys as well. So I'm going to mention the normal girls hostel fees over here and boys hostel fees over here. And in Manipal there are a lot of different types of hostels. So I personally stayed at a very nice hostel. So the hostel where I stayed at was called Old Chandrasekhar Hostel, and actually that was supposed to be the hotel. So Manipal has a hotel course. That was supposed to be the hotel for Manipal, but then it was converted into a hostel. So as you can imagine, it was very nice. And for 3 years, I was in a double sharing room. So I was sharing the room with someone. And for the final year, I moved to another hostel, New International Hostel, where I was in a single room. And for my MPharm, I was living outside. You can also opt to live outside. I would recommend staying in the hostel at least for the first year and then moving into an apartment if you plan to do so, because everything in Manipal is really close. So you would be able to navigate if you have a vehicle or something. I did not have a vehicle in any of the years that I was there. So yes, and the hostels are pretty decent. Even the hostels for like the other hostels like Sharda, Indira, Sonia, all of them are pretty decent hostels. And I would say decent because I've stayed in PGs, paying guest facilities. So compared to that, the hostels are really good and well maintained and have all the facilities. So there are fees for the hostel which are there, and I have mentioned that for you guys. And coming next to point number 3, which is the food. So point number 3 is the food. So what would you do about the food and the mess? So Manipal has a lot of mess facility. So near each hostel block, there's almost a mess everywhere. And there's different mess for the medical campus and then different mess for the engineering MIT campus. So talking about the medical campus, which is where MCOPS is located. So we have a food court mess, which is a main mess. And then you have other messes like Indira mess, BQ mess, and all of them have pretty nominal fees. So I have gone ahead and checked out the fees, and I'm going to mention it over here for you guys. That is the fees for the mess food. Now let me tell you one secret, maybe which you would not know if you are a fresher. So whenever you join Manipal any course and BPharm course, they will tell you it is compulsory to be part of a mess if you are staying in the hostels. That is not true at all. That is not true at all. I cannot emphasize this enough. So if you want to eat mess food, of course, please go ahead and have that. But if you feel like you don't want to eat mess food all the time, like you don't want to have all 3 meals from the mess, or it is not of your taste or liking, then you can choose not to have mess food at all. So yes, that is an option, but you obviously have to push for it. And I personally was just having mess food in my first year, and then from second year onwards I was just eating like food from the mess. Like I would have breakfast and lunch maybe at the mess and dinner outside or something like that. So you can do that as well. And in the mess you can just pay like 60-70 rupees, which is what is the cost for meals like lunch and dinner, and breakfast is like 50 rupees or something. So you can just go and pay that upfront and you can eat the food there. You don't need to be a member, because what happens when you become a member is that you would be paying a certain amount per month. Like you might pay for 6 months or 1 year together, and it would be deducted from that. But what would end up happening is that you would not be eating all the meals, so you would anyway end up spending somewhere outside. So I would recommend that you eat the selective meals like breakfast especially and lunch at the mess, and leave the other meals for outside. That is what I did after my second year. And also one more and very important point about mess is that mess is where everyone gathers, sort of like, other than classes, the place where everyone talks, meets, hangs out is usually at the mess, especially if you're staying in hostels. So if you want to be part of that group and community center, whatever, like, where everything is happening, then you would obviously be part of like a mess group, and because that is where your classmates would probably go and hang out or have lunch together. So it would be a good idea to be part of a mess, or at least have some of your meals in the mess. And I hope that was helpful. And now let's move on to the fourth point, which is going to be about the main academics. So for 4 years of BPharm, everything that you need to know about academics I'm going to share in this part of the video. The most important part for any student, any prospective parents who are planning to enroll their kids, and it was even a major part of our college time in Manipal, of course, because we would always be in classes. So there's theory classes, practical classes, and a lot of subjects. When I was in Manipal from 2013 to 2017, and before that, we had annual system, which meant that we had 3 sessional exams, 2 of which were compulsory and mandatory, and we would take the average of 2 sessional exams and 1 university exam. That is the annual system. But since the year I graduated, like the following year, so from 2017 onwards, batches started having semester system, which meant that there would be 2 university exams. So 6 months, 1 university exam, 6 months, another university exam. Now, I think this is actually good and better, because what happens is that you only need to study for 6 months and give your university exam and clear it, and then in the second 6 months, in the second uni, you would not be asked about like the curriculum or topics of the first part. I think so. So that is actually better, because when we were in the annual system and we had university exam, we did get around 10-12 days of study break, or like pre-university exam break to study. But honestly, like, not in my first year, but in all the other years, second year, especially third and fourth year, there was a lot to study, a lot to study, and we were always in the library. So if you cannot tell already, I am a nerd, and I was a nerd, and I think being a nerd is cool, because that is what college is all about in the end. So yeah, so there was a lot of studying to do. The subjects, like some of the subjects were very heavy, and some of the subjects I was really bad at. So I was really bad at chemistry, so pharmaceutical chemistry, organic chemistry. I was really bad at that. I was almost going to fail that subject, but somehow I managed to pass. I don't know how, and oh my god. So it was in my third year when this happened. I went into the exam hall, and you're supposed to sit in the exam hall for at least 30 minutes before you can leave. And a university exam is usually 3 hours long, I think, or 3.5 hours long, the theory paper. I was completely blank in the first 15 minutes. I did not know what to write in the paper, and as soon as it was 30 minutes, I left the hall, and everyone was shocked, like, Nishma is going to fail this paper. She will have to redo this test in July, which is when we redo the exams in case we fail. And I was so scared. And since then, like, throughout my fourth year, I was constantly bad at chemistry, and I just had a fear of that subject. Like, when the professor used to teach, when Alexa used to teach in class, Alexa, if you're watching this, it was amazing, like, to listen to him, like the way he explained, like how this, like there's Lenovo and Dino and all these things, and chirality and all that stuff. It was really interesting, and I understood what he was saying. But it was writing the structures and like starting from the beginning of like some synthesis and coming down and writing the formulation, and oh my god, that was like my worst nightmare and fear of BPharm. I think other than that, I was pretty smooth at academics, but chemistry was something that I cannot forget. It was so hard for me, and it was really a challenge. All the other subjects were fine, as I said, and pharmacology was my best and favorite subject. And I also got like the best BPharm outgoing student for pharmacology subject. So that was amazing, and I really enjoyed the classes as well, and all the teachers were amazing. So yes. So academics, as I was saying, is a main part. You will have theory, you will have practical. Practical labs are intensive, long, and also like you learn a lot. So when I went into BPharm, I never thought of like the reason why I started BPharm was because I wanted to do a business of pharmacy. I wanted to go and open my pharmacy shop. That was my general idea going into BPharm. I never wanted to be a doctor and then took pharmacy, or never wanted to be a dentist and then took pharmacy. So that was my goal. But once I started BPharm is when I understood that there are so many options. Like there is biotechnology, there is like formulations, there is pharmacy practice. There's so many options of things that you can actually do after like BPharm and MPharm. So there's so many ways that you can go, and all of this like boils down to basics, which is what is taught in BPharm. So that is why you have so many subjects. In MPharm it really narrows down to the specific specialization that you plan to go for, but BPharm is very intensive. And of course, like in the semester system, it would be like every 1.5 months you would have a sessional exams or 2 sessional exams, 1 university exam. But as I said, it would be better. So that's what I'm thinking. So as I told you, I spoke to one student who is currently in her final year of BPharm, and I asked her like how are the classes done and all of that. So she told me that even when we were studying, we had like batches. So like I think there are around 86 students in BPharm class in my year, and we had A, B and C batch. So the students are divided in batches, and all of us used to have theory classes together, and practical would be like one day A batch would have a certain lab and another day B batch would have it, and we would have some other subjects lab. That is how the classes were divided. So now after COVID, what is happening is she told me that since November of 2020 they have gone back to Manipal and they are doing classes from Manipal, and every day one batch would have theory classes. So A batch has theory class in the classroom, and the same time the professor is doing the same class with B and C batch online. So only a certain number of students are in the class and the rest are online, and the same class is going on. And then practicals would be as usual per batch, and obviously the test is online. So now you have this EPAD kind of system where you go and you do the test, like you have to go to the classroom and give it. So that is how the test is being conducted. And yeah, that's about it. So that's how the classes are being conducted right now, and I'm sure they're taking all the precautions, of course. So that is all about academics. If you want to know anything specific about a certain subject, then I have like a couple of friends who, like one friend who did pharmacy practice and therapeutics. I also did that. Another friend who did biotechnology, and like another people who did administration and formulations and all of that, regulatory, QA. So if you have any specific subject related questions, please leave them down in the comments below, and either I would reply to them or I would encourage my friends who have done specialization in that to help and reply to those questions. So yeah, but there's a lot of things that goes on behind academics, and honestly it's like if you are interested and truly interested in the studying part of the course, it will be really interesting, because MCOPS has some of the great professors. Like I'm not even kidding, like in each department I believe there are a couple of professors who are really passionate. They know so much about their subject, and when you listen to them talking, like you would great professors in each department who are really into their subject and have a lot of expertise in their subject, and some of them have also worked in industry and different domains, so they would help and guide you, and obviously there would be your professors. It would be really amazing. If you are interested in research, then please make sure to get a good mentor as your professor, because that is a game changer when it comes to like publications, research and projects. So I personally thought that I was interested in research before, but then later on I realized that I was not, which I think is completely fine. Everyone has their own path in the end. So yes, but yes, there are professors who are doing great research. They are getting grants, they are doing publications, they are working with industries to do research and really getting like really good research work out there. So please look into that if you are interested, and I'm sure that the professors are great and would help you to like achieve that. Also, talking a little bit about the practicals, so we do have like each subject has their own practical and theory, as I mentioned, and the lab facilities are really great for BPharm students in Manipal. So like if you're doing any kind of experiment, like you'd always be doing experiments, so you have like your own set of like equipments to use for that experiment. And I think it's really well planned, like the whole curriculum, what projects you are going to do, what experiments you're going to do, and you would like learn a lot, but I still believe there is scope of more practical learning than compared to theory. Because one thing which I observed and I would like to mention over here is that when you go to a practical lab, you will have something called a record book, which is where you write your experiments and all of that. And sometimes you will also you will have the main record and then you will have another book, so you have to copy things from the record into that, and then keep submitting that each week and stuff. So I think that is a little waste of time, because a lot of what I can remember is us trying to finish records. So sometimes we'll be sitting in theory class trying to write our records, and a lot of times the professors will take our records for that very reason, because you're not supposed to write records in other classes. But the reason why this happens is because the record books, sometimes there's 8 pages of the plant subject. 1 second. Yes, sometimes you'll find there are 4 to 8 pages of pharmacognosy, some kind of herb or some plant which you're studying about, that you need to transfer from your record book to the other book which you are going to submit, because every week you are writing the record. And I think that, and then you will also learn about the same thing in theory, where you have to write again. So yeah, it's not a must to write in theory. If you want to write, you can write. Some professors insist that you have notes, and they would check if you are writing and stuff. Not all professors do that. So in theory it's a little optional. But yes, this record writing business is what takes up so much time, and I think more time from that can be given to actual practical learning, instead of just writing the records again and again, because I don't think that is helping anyone, especially not the students, especially with all the time crunch. So now that was all the things which I wanted to say on academics. Let's move to the next part, which is extracurricular activities, which is everything other than academics that you are offered at Manipal University when you're doing BPharm or some other courses. So I'm going to speak particularly for BPharm and MCOPs. So let's go and talk about extracurricular. Number 5, which is about extracurricular activities. There'll be a lot of things that you will be able to do at Manipal University, at college level, even university around. So that is going to take up a lot of your time, and I truly believe that college years are going to be the best years of your life, because many times you will discover your hobbies and passions over here, and you'll be able to explore a lot, because it is 4 years of time. So there is a lot of time that you will have to do what you want to do. Now I have some conflicted opinions about extracurricular activities, and I have written a blog post about it as well, which I'm going to link in the description below. But let me start from the beginning about what are the things that you can do in MCOPs for BPharm. There'll be so many events and activities coming up, as well as some other things that are offered in Manipal University. So starting with point number 1, which is about gym. So anyone who is a fitness enthusiast or who likes to go to the gym, there is very, very good gym facilities in Manipal University. So the gym is called Marina, and I was also a member over there in my 3rd and 4th year. The fees are a little expensive, so it's 1,500 rupees per month. But yes, the facilities are really good. Yes, it does get a little crowded sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times, especially in the main hours, in the morning and evening, which is when most of the students go. So it does get crowded a lot. But yes, it is really good. The facilities are good, the machine equipment, everything is good. So inside Marina itself, you have a basketball court, you have tennis, you have a swimming pool now, you have all these other sports, squash. So there are all these other so it's 5 or 6 floors, and the ground floor is there, and then all the other levels are below it. You also have a sauna and steam in part of the gym package. So yes, there are a lot of these things. You can opt for them if you are interested, and I think it will be wonderful. So other than the gym, so there is a football field, there is cricket field, there are basketball fields near the hostels. So you can obviously go and play over here, and if you are part of any college team, so then they just go and play, and they have these games and all of that. So you can go and play whatever sports you are interested in. Personally, I was never a sports person. I was never an athlete. I was so far from athletics that I was the speaker or the master of ceremony at sports activity. That is how away from sports I was, because I was not sporty at all. I did not play any games or anything. So I would be the last person talking about sports. But yes, in our college, so in MCOPs, there is a sports event called Athlos, which is like once a year, happens around February, March. And in that event you have like athletics, you have all kinds of sports, you have all ball games and everything, and you have teams. Each year will compete, so one year will be the winner. And I think for our year, so since the first year till fourth year, each year our like my batch was a winner. But obviously I did not contribute to that at all. I did not contribute, but yes, we did have a lot of people who were very enthusiastic about sports in my batch. So this is both B Farm people and then Farm D course. So we are like one when it comes to all these activities and events like competition wise. So yes, there are a lot of games. There is Atlas event which happens in B Farm college, and obviously if you are really good at something like swimming, we had a lot of swimming people, athletics people who used to go to university level to compete with other universities, and they would get selected in the university team as well. So if you are really good at some sport, that would be a very good option to get more exposure and like go and participate in events. And obviously if you are at the university level team, then the university will be sponsoring your things and you would be going for all of that. So that is also an opportunity for you. So we have covered gym, we have covered sports and the sports event which happens at B Farm college, like at MCOPS. And now let's talk about some of the other activities. So if you want to do any kind of like community service work, then there is an organization called VSO, Volunteering Service Organization. I was part of VSO. And what happens at VSO is that you start, like you can enroll anytime. So if you start in your first year, then they'll have activities every Saturday, different kinds of activities like visiting like the old age home, or like going to a orphanage and like like helping around and playing with those children. They have different activities basically every Saturday. You can choose what you want to do, and each Saturday you can change it also. And whatever hours you are dedicating to community service would be added up throughout the 4 years or your stay at Manipal, and in the end you can get a certificate saying that this many hours of community service is what you. If you're interested in that, there's also something else which I wanted to mention here. It's called ISEC, which is like this obviously I know a lot of you would be knowing about ISEC, so I'm going to leave their like main website link in the description below, so you can go and check it out. Basically it's like for student exchange, to promote student exchange. So we in Manipal, we do have students coming from outside a lot through ISEC, and we also have students going to other countries for like summer programs and volunteering, all of that through ISEC again. So that is very active. My sister was part of that, and you can obviously go ahead and do all of that as well. So that is one other thing that I would like want to highlight in this. Other than that, let me talk a little bit about cultural events and all the cultural related programs that keep happening throughout the year. And even other colleges in Manipal University, they will have year-round cultural events and college events. All of this is managed by the professors, of course, in each college, and the student committee. So each academic year a new student committee is selected, and I was part of the student council for I think 3 years or 4 years of my out of 4 years of BPharm. So in first year and second year I was in the editorial committee, and then in third year I was in DIA chapter of the college. So basically there are 4 main committees. One is the cultural committee, which looks out after all the events. Second is the editorial committee, which is part of the college magazine and the editorial board and all of that. Third is sports, of course, and fourth is the academics committee, I think it's called, which is where the class CR, like academic CR is part of that, and that is what they do. And they, I think, organize Pharmacora. So Pharmacora is something also I'll talk about it. So now these in each year you will have like a CR for sports, you will have a CR for cultural committee, all of that. So I was in the editorial board in my first 2 years. And yes, so starting from beginning of year, so around like the year will start in July, and then around early September you will have the first event, which is called Genesis, which is like a cultural event. It usually happens on Teachers' Day, so Teachers' Day is celebrated along with that, and the new council is introduced. After that you have Sanskriti for our college, so for like MCOPS. So Sanskriti is where all the years will compete, and then like 1 year will be the winner, and like all the different batches would compete and one would be a winner. And then you would have the final thing, which is Utsav, which is a university wide like event which happens in April. So what happens is that like if you like are the winner for Sanskriti, so at college level, then you would go most probably to the university competition, whether it is for dance, singing, whatever. So that is that. And as I mentioned, in all these things there's like a lot of dancing happening, a lot of singing happening, but I was not part of any dancing, singing, because that is not something I'm good at. What I used to do most of the time was skit or like drama and plays. Then I would do like debates, I would do like talking. So all of that is like kind of events where I would be participating mostly. And I was also interested in photography, so I took part in some of those challenges and competitions. Yes, and of course I was in the editorial board, which is like part of writing and all of that. So that is what I did mainly, and that is what something you can do it. So there are a lot of activities related to this, like anything related to cultural or all these skits and stuff. Other than at college level, you also have like clubs, like university level clubs. So there is a Manipal Photography Club where most of the students are from MIT, and I think they meet in MIT. But yes, anyone from any college can be part of that. Then there is also like if you're interested in fashion, so then there are like 2 or 3 or maybe more fashion clubs. One is called Glam and Glitz and one is called Burning Eyes. So like these girls or people who work in this thing, so they are from different colleges, they come together, they put fashion shows together, and it is really glamorous. So my sister was part of one of these things, so that's how I know a lot about it. And yes, so it's really amazing. And also girls in my college were really good and used to be part of this fashion groups. So we used to like look at fashion shows, and it was really mesmerizing. So there are a lot of extracurricular activities, but one thing I will say is that as the year go on, so when you come to your 3rd and 4th year, the academic part is going to really take up a lot of your time. And what is going to happen is that, so let me tell you one thing which I think and I know is that so this University Grants Committee, UGC, which is like, you know, controlling all these colleges and all, so every time they will send, like whenever something is happening, like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel Day has to be celebrated in the college. Okay, let me tell you. So something is happening, okay, right? So obviously the professors and the student committee, they will want people to participate in whether there is a debate happening or whatever is happening related to that day's event, because they are supposed to show that we have conducted this event and these are the things which has happened related to that, so we are celebrating. But you need to take a minute and think about what you want to do, because what will eventually end up happening, which is what happened with me, is that you will like commit to so many activities, you will be doing everything right and left, and in the end, after like when you're in your 4th year, you will think that was all this necessary, like was all of this necessary, is what you will think. That is what I felt also, because I would say like pick 1 or 2 things which you're actually interested in it and stick to that, instead of just trying to do everything together, because that will just like not result into any national student. And it was my actually first time living in India and like studying in India, so I was really keen and passionate on doing a lot of things, because in school I was really shy, so I didn't do a lot of things. But when I stepped into college, I was trying to make up for that, and so I was part of everything. Like I was part of a lot of things in my 1st and 2nd year, and my goal eventually was that I wanted to become the president of my college, so in my 4th year, and I wanted to become general secretary in my 3rd year. So 3rd year students are selected for general secretary. So 1st and 2nd year I was in the editorial board, and then 3rd year I was planning to stand for general secretary, and I did stand for it. But luckily or unluckily, I did not get selected for general secretary position, and at that time, oh my god, I thought that my life has come to an end. What am I going to do in my 3rd and 4th year? It was like my whole planned path has been ruined and stuff. And I really felt sad, because 2 years I was there in each and every activity. I was there up front and center doing everything so that I could become the general secretary. But then I did not get selected for that. But I think that was good, because if I would have been selected as Gen Sec, I don't think I would have met the love of my life. So because I was not selected as general secretary, I thought, okay, now let me do something. I don't want to do extracurriculars anymore. That's what I thought for some time. That's when I went ahead and met the love of my life. So I think whatever happens, happens for a good reason. But one learning which I have got from doing so much of extracurricular activities in the college, for the college mainly, because they need people to do these activities. That's how the events keep on happening. But I would request you and like give you my expert advice as a student who has been there, done that, all of that, that really think about what you want to do in terms of extracurricular, because and like plan for it, because if you choose one or two things and keep at it, that would really like be fruitful and like result into something versus just doing everything, which is what I did. So now on that note, let's move on to the next topic, which is something I wanted to talk about and I think would be useful to you guys as well, which is about internships, placements, student exchange programs. So that is point number 6. So let's talk a little bit about this. First of all, as part of your academic course, you will be needing to do an internship either in a industry like a pharmacy industry, or you will have to do it in a hospital, which is going to be 45 days or 150 hours worth of time, and you will have to show that you have done this. So that is something which is required by your course in BPharm, and I did my internship after my 3rd year in a hospital setting back in Dar es Salaam, which is where I'm from originally. Like my parents live there and all of that. So I did it in a hospital. You can choose to do it in an industry, and you will have to find this internship on your own, like through your parents or connection mostly. And yes, you can also do it at Manipal. So Manipal obviously has its own hospital and pharmacies in the hospital, so you can choose to do it there. Many students choose to do it there, and that would be that. Other than that, of course, you would want to do other internships so that you can have more things on your resume and CV when you apply for masters, when you apply for job, all of that. So now this is something very important, I think, and main academic internship which you are required to do. I'm sure that many of you would want to do more internships to add to your CV and resume for your future master courses or for your future job opportunities. And when doing an internship, you tend to learn a lot. So paid internships are hard to come by, but it is not impossible to get them. So some of my friends went for internships or research projects where they got like full funding and stuff like that. So I'm going to leave the description of those opportunities in the description box below. There is one good internship opportunity which is given by National Science Institute, I believe, and you have to apply for it. You have to write an abstract and apply for it, and then they would like send you to IITs or some of the place where the professor is doing the research in the area that you're interested in, and then they would match you up. So my friend also went for that, and I will leave the details of the description of that as well. The same friend went to Japan also to do an internship. It was related to biotechnology. I'll leave the description of that as well. And for me personally, so in 3rd year I did my internship of after my 2nd year I did my hospital internship, which was part of the course. After my 3rd year I went to Biocon and I did an internship. I was part of the HR team at that time, and I wanted to do either like a science, like technology related internship, or a management related internship, because I wanted to know what specialization to choose after my BPharm. But they didn't have like a technology related internship slot available, so they gave me this, and I applied for it myself through one of my friend's parents' contact. But yes, you can write to them and stuff, and obviously the college will also help you. Like the professors are very helpful. They'll give you a letter of recommendation and all of that. That was all about the internships from the hospital and industry that you would be needing to do. But now let's talk about a little bit about the internships which the college will offer, which is mainly related to student exchange committee. So on your orientation day, you will be told that, oh my god, MCOPS has collaborations with so many universities where you can go and do MPharm, you can go and do student exchange programs. That is very well and very true. A lot of these have been established by the college. Some of these have been like the first opportunities where like a senior or someone from my batch or my seniors have gone and laid the foundation with a particular college, and a lot of juniors have followed suit and gotten the opportunity to go to that university for internships or for masters because of that one senior who has laid the foundation. that is that. Now I want to talk a little bit about the Student Exchange Committee internships for summer programs, which they say that they offer. Yes, for sure, they do have collaborations with all these international universities, giving you a chance to go abroad and to experience something like that. But one thing which I would like to emphasize over here is that the college needs to put more internships which have scholarship opportunities, which meritorious students who are interested in that field or research area would be able to take by writing an abstract or presenting a poster or something like that. Yes, many students have done it on their own. Many of them have gotten scholarships through the college also, like where the college has helped in one way or the other, like the professors have helped. But there needs to be more of this, whereby the internships are with scholarship or like with, like, you know, travel expenses, because a lot of these internships, like in my batch, talking about my people from my batch, they have gone to United Kingdom, they have gone to Australia for internships with collaborations, but they have to pay out of their pocket, and the cost of this for like a 1.5 month, 2 month internship would be around 1.5 lakh to 3 lakhs and even more. So because the general category fees are around 1 lakh something for a whole academic year, so obviously this fee of the of the internship, summer internship, is really a lot if you ask me personally. And when a student gets such internship, it's yes, obviously they go there, they do the work, they put in the hours, but even someone who is working or doing an internship in India does the same thing. They do the research, they do the work. So I don't think congratulations are in order for anyone who gets a student exchange internship by paying out of their pocket, because that would be congratulating someone because they are rich or their parents are rich, which is why they are being able to afford and go for that. Obviously the Student Exchange Committee is still new. It's been a few years since it's there, and I think every year definitely they are doing a lot more progress. Like my batch was okay, my juniors have like outperformed everyone, and they have gone ahead, gotten so many scholarships. Like each year I think is becoming better and better. But yes, there is scope for improvement for Student Exchange Committee to bring in more internships with these collaborations, as they say, based on scholarships, so that, you know, more students can get benefits of this and actually be able to go and avail these scholarships. Sub point in this, point number 6, is about placements. So there is a placement after BPharm wherein you are allowed to sit for placements. One thing which I don't like over here is that students are given very strict instructions that you should only sit for placement if you're not going to do MPharm. You should only sit for placement if you're not going for higher studies outside or something. I don't think that is like okay, because I understand why the college does that, because like obviously they want to give a chance to students who actually want to work and need to work right after BPharm. But at the same time, if a student like me who is not sure wants to sit for placement, for the experience of giving an interview, for the experience of sitting for the placement, they should be allowed to sit for placements, which is something which is not allowed. Because I remember during my BPharm time, there was a circular which was passed around, and I think almost everyone wrote down their names that they want to sit for placements. And then there was like first round and second round where we were told, are you sure that you don't want to go for masters, you don't want to go for anything else, because if you are going, then you're not allowed to give your names for placements. I don't think that is right at all, because like I don't know what I want to do. I want to give this interview, I want to get the experience of giving the interview for placement. So I think everyone should be allowed to do that. And there are very few companies which come to take BPharm students, and most of the time this is for like sales rep, pharmaceutical sales rep opportunities. And yes, there have been students from my batch who have been placed after BPharm through MCOPS. And if like I'm going to make a separate video about placements where I will talk about BPharm placements and MPharm placements. Obviously MPharm placements, there are a lot of opportunities. I also went and got my job from an MPharm placement from my college. There'll be a separate video on that. But there are opportunities after BPharm for placements. But let me be very real and very true with you guys. There are very few unselected companies who come. It's for very few selected roles. Most of the times it's for an MR job. So you please keep that in mind. And yes, of course, placement is not the only thing. Many people go for MPharm studies. They give their GPAT and do MPharm. They give their GRE, which is the next point which I'm coming to. So yes, there are few placement opportunities. Very restricted. The rules of sitting for the placement are very tight, and you know, not everyone would be able to sit for it because of the way how the college has made it. But it is there, and people in my batch did get placements. Himalaya was one of the companies that did take a lot of people. like most of the people, like 5 or 6 I think. At that time that was a big number, because not a lot of people sat for placements, as I told you, because a lot of us went to do MPharm and went to do masters abroad as well. So normally what happens is that when you go for orientation, I remember this very vividly, when you go for orientation, the principal will tell you that most of our students don't want to sit for placements after BPharm, don't want to sit for placements after BPharm. They want to do masters, they want to do their own thing, they want to go for higher studies. So what happens, so what they say is that, and maybe they are right also, what happens is that they say that they invite companies to come and do placement after BPharm, but the students don't sit for placements. That I don't think is entirely true, because as I'm saying, in my batch also, most of us wanted to sit for placement, at least to get an idea of how it is, but it is very restricted the way like we are allowed to sit or not, and all of that is happening, and I'm going to make a separate video about that. So few companies come for placement for very few roles after BPharm in my college. Now let's move on to the next point, which is going to be about exams, GRE and GPAT, which is going to be point number 7. Number 7 is about exams, as I mentioned, and yes, there will be a lot of exams. There will be college exams like sessionals and universities in your 4th year, which will be very challenging and hectic, because you will have your main project, which will be one research project that you are required to do. My point number 8 is about that, so we'll talk about that and that. Point number 7 is about exams, and there'll be a lot of exams that you'll be giving, sessional exams, university exams, and then in your 4th year you will probably give GPAT or GRE depending on what your goal is. So I personally gave GRE. I wanted to give GPAT as well, but what happened was that because I am an international student and I had OCI, and I was not sure if I'm allowed to give GPAT or not. So at that time I did write an email like to the concerned authority, and I had spoken to the vice principal as well that I want to write this exam, but we did not receive a reply. And by the time I decided that I want to give GPAT also, it was a very late, because my whole goal was that I want to go outside to do masters. That's why I was going to write the GRE, which I wrote TOEFL as well, and that's why I didn't write GPAT. But I will tell you not to make the same mistake which I made. Like, even if you're not sure, it's better to write GPAT and like to prepare for GPAT as well, because if you write GPAT, if you clear GPAT, and if you then end up doing MPharm in India, it will help you and your parents a lot financially, because you will be given a monthly stipend from the government. I think AICTE, like that organization, like is being given every month to the people who qualify GPAT. And in some companies, like especially on the formulation QA side, those kind of roles, they do ask for your GPAT score, or they do ask that you have cleared GPAT also. Sometimes it happens like that. For my company and my job, it was not asked, but sometimes it is asked. So it's better to give GPAT even if you're not sure whether you want to give it. And even if you are an international student who has an OCI or PIO, I think you will be able to give GPAT. Just do a little bit of research and plan in advance. I waited until my 4th year, until like 2 months from GPAT, and then I didn't know what I was doing. But please plan in advance. If you do the GPAT, if you clear the GPAT, it will be like a smooth sail if you're doing MPharm in India, because you will get your monthly stipend, which will be really amazing. So if you want to know more about GPAT preparation and all of that, then please leave a comment so that I can know that you want to know about that, and I will call someone from my batch in one of the upcoming videos to come and talk more about that, because I myself did not prepare for GPAT, but I know people in my batch were preparing since almost 2nd year. I'm not going to lie, it's a challenging exam, and because it's all the subjects in one, so it is challenging. Time is like one thing which you have to keep in mind. Those are some of the things which I know about GPAT. And so in my year, what happened was that like initially I think 7 or 8 people cleared it, and then later after 1 year, like there was 1 or 2 questions which had some problem, and when those questions were like, you know, like it was redone, like they rechecked it, and then few more people were like became eligible and cleared GPAT. So yes, it is there. It is a bit challenging. You will have to prepare for it. You will have to know a lot of subjects, or maybe you can, you know, aim to know like your core subjects and then clear those. But if you want to know more about GPAT, please put a comment in the description and I will call someone. Now let's talk about GRE, which is what I gave. I gave GRE and TOEFL thinking that I was going to go abroad. I want to make a separate video about GRE also and my experience. If you want to know more in detail about GRE, then also leave a comment in the description and I will be happy to create a video. And yes, so I gave the GRE in my final year. I prepared for it. So my GRE score was 301, which is not that great. Your score needs to be above 315, 320 if you are aiming to get like a good college, and like especially if you're aiming to get any kind of scholarship, so you need to get that kind of score. There are like a couple of people in my class who got 317, 324, and yes, that was GPAT. So that was GRE, sorry. And then I also gave TOEFL because I believe my English is good, so my TOEFL score was 117 out of 120. And TOEFL was relatively easy because especially if you study for GRE, then I think TOEFL will be a piece of cake. And we just gave TOEFL in like after a week of studying, and for GRE we did study a lot. But GRE was very hard, especially if you're like in BPharm course, because we don't do maths. We don't do maths for 4 years, right? We just do some calculations related to chemistry. So because of that, what happens is that maths becomes really hard. So if you are thinking of giving the GRE, then you need to please start planning for your maths especially, and even a little bit of English, I would say, depending on where you stand in English, but especially for maths, start planning for it especially from your third year, so that, because GRE is an expensive exam, that is what I will say. And I did the mistake of giving the GRE then not going abroad. Like, I think when you're giving the GRE, you really need to know what you're going to be doing after giving the GRE. I was giving it because my friends were giving and I was thinking I'm going to go abroad, but I did not have a plan set, because if you are going abroad, if you don't get a scholarship, because very few people get a scholarship, you will need to either have a bank loan or you will need to pay the fees for the college, like at least maybe 1 semester or something, and then go there and work and then pay the remaining fees or however it is. So you need to have all these discussions with your parents if you are prospective students. So yeah, like please, if you're giving the GRE, plan for it, plan what are you going to do after it. Like some of my friends also took a gap year and then gave the GRE again and then went abroad. So that is like a little bit of a tricky situation there, and I would really encourage you to plan well in advance instead of like what I did. I consider myself that I wasted my GRE money, like my parents' money, because I didn't end up going abroad and I gave it, and also I didn't get a good score and all of that. So yeah, if you're giving GRE, do your maths revision from third year. And like if you're giving your GRE, you need to have your priorities set. Like it's okay if you get like little bad marks in sessional, but you need to spend more time studying for GRE. That is like what I will say. So yeah, that is about GRE and GPAT. And if you want any more information, comment down below. I will answer your questions. If there are a lot of comments, I'll make a different video, especially if this video does well. Now let's move on to the next point, which is going to be about your final year project. So point number 8, we are at point number 8 right now, which is the final year project. Final year, you will be required to do a project, and my personal project was in therapeutic subject. So that is what I wanted to do in my master's, and that is why I chose the project in that subject. And you will be allowed to choose the subject, because in each subject there'll be only a couple of students, so there'll be restricted professors who will be helping those students. So because of that, you will be allowed to select based on your grade of the past 3 years or of your third year. So people who have a higher grade will be allowed to select first, and once that subject is over, then you can go to the second subject or third subject which are available at that time. So once you get your subject, like let's say that you are going for quality assurance, so once you have selected your subject, then it is internally decided, like sometimes there is a chit system to select which professor you end up getting. And one of the things is, what happens is that sometimes the professor will ask you what kind of research you want to do. Sometimes they will suggest, and there are some professors who have very set subjects and area of expertise in which they want to expand their research. That is why when you get a professor like this, you will most probably be doing the research in the subject and area in which they are interested in. So please be prepared for that. When I make my MPharm video, I'll be talking more about this. So for my BPharm, I did a therapeutics project. So for people who choose therapeutics, because it usually involves, not usually, always involves patient data, whether it is retrospective or prospective, you will need to get an ethical committee approval from the hospital because you are using the patient data. So that approval will take around 1 month, and you have to file for it and all of that. And you'll be constantly going to the hospital because your project and the department of therapeutics department, pharmacy practice department is based out of the hospital. So keep that in mind in case you choose to do that. And all the other subjects are based out of college, so you will be doing it as usual. And this will be a big part of your final year work. A little bit of your grade might also depend on it. I don't remember how many percentage. And you will be working most probably in a group, so that will also be there. And many of the times you will like the college will ask that you give the finished project before your annual exams, before your final exam, university exam. You need to give this project completed with the final conclusion, all of that. You will need to make a thesis book for this and like submit it to the college. So that is part of the curriculum and requirement. So please take that seriously. Think about what subject you are interested in, what research area you want to do, because you will certainly be doing something. And if you want to aim for quality assurance or like IP formulation, you need to maintain those grades so that you can get an opportunity to select that subject and do the project on that. Number 9, which is about security and the culture around Manipal. So I'm sure you would have heard, if you have done your research or if you have spoken to anyone, that Manipal is like a party university, and people just party over there and stuff like that. So I'm not going to completely deny it, neither am I going to completely accept it. I'm just going to tell you what my experience has been and what like I have seen during my time in Manipal. So because Manipal is a small town, it's 5 kilometers radius, and because there are so many students over there, like 25,000, 30,000 students in a small area, and there's 21 colleges, so there are a lot of restaurants, bars, pubs, all of this is there. And yes, there have been some security concerns in the past also as well. But I think that is something that would happen in any college campus, in any university. That is something, I think, part of student life and growing up. As long as you know what you're going to do over there, as if you're a parent who is watching this, as long as your kid knows what they're going to do there, I think they'll be completely fine and you don't have to worry about anything. And talking about the security, the college and university is like making sure that they have the security in place. I don't have any doubt on that. Outside every hostel there is like security, and only the people who live in that hostel are allowed to enter the hostel. There is like curfew of 12 o'clock. You have to enter the hostel before 12 o'clock. If you are a first year student, the first 3 months it will be like 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. Then your curfew will extend to 12 o'clock. So curfew is always there. Most of the hostels will check whether you came in at night. There's a place to sign when you enter. And if you're staying in hostel, it's perfectly fine. Now let's talk about if you're staying in apartments. So in my masters, I stayed in apartments, and even in the apartments, like if you want to enter the apartment, you need to get permission of the person who is living inside to come inside. First of all, a lot of apartments have time restrictions, so you cannot bring in guests after like 8 o'clock or sometimes 10 o'clock, depends, varies on apartments. And you can obviously bring your parents and stuff, but you cannot like have so many guests over. They charge if you want to have a friend to stay over at night, unless you sneak them in somehow. So I think even the apartment complexes, because they know that students are living over there, they have like proper security in place. The hostels have security in place, colleges have security in place. And so MIT campus is closed, but the medical campus is open because there is like government road passing through the campus. But every night after like I think 10 o'clock, they have like these security barricades. So any auto or any cab, personal vehicle that enters that, the number is noted down, and when you leave, like when you exit, the number is noted down of the car, and you have security cameras in place. So the college is doing their best in terms of security, no doubt about that. Incidents do happen, and I think if you are a student, or if your kid is going to go there, as long as they are safe and secure and try to avoid places where they, or situations where they would get in trouble, I think it would be perfectly fine. A lot of colleges have the same thing, and Manipal is no different. I think if you talk about the pros and all of that, it is like easily there, because I was going to personally, for me there were two options: Nirma University in Ahmedabad and Manipal University in Karnataka. So I went for Manipal University because at that time for Nirma, for B.Pharm students, there was no hostel, and Nirma University is located 15 kilometers outside the city. So my parents wanted me to stay in a hostel campus, and Manipal was a perfect for that. So I think if my parents who don't live in India can send me to study in Manipal, and I was perfectly fine, I think. So I think security is not a concern, it is perfectly okay. In terms of culture, because there are people from all over, students are there from all over, like different parts of India, different parts of the world as well. So you will really get that international exposure. When they tell you in orientation, they are not lying about that. There are a lot of people from different places, and even like the locals over there who work in these shops and like small things, like people who serve you, all of that, they speak in Kannada, but even they are like exposed to all of this. So it is really like multicultural in a sort of way. And yes, because you are studying in an Indian college, so there is a dress code that you sort of need to maintain, and that would be mentioned in your like whenever you're given the instructions, all of that, especially if you're going to the hospital like an intern or anything to work over there, because you will be seeing patients, and patients from all over come to Manipal hospitals, to Kasturba Medical Hospital. So yes, you will need to maintain the dress code, and even in colleges as well. But other than that, like in the mess and in your hostels, you are free to wear whatever you want to wear. And I think that is all about the culture and the security aspect of MCOPS and Manipal University. Now let's go on to the final point, which is point number 10, and the cons of studying B.Pharm at MCOPS. So personally, I think there are not many, and B.Pharm at MCOPS is really truly a great experience. If you go to the website of MCOPS, you will also see testimonials, and there are a lot of people like students, senior and junior alike, who have been able to do a lot, accomplish a lot, and MCOPS was their stepping stone. There is no denying that. The professors over there are great, they help you a lot, they're really good at the research that they do. So it is a really good place if you want to consider it for doing your B.Pharm. That is what I will say. And personally, for myself, I have no complaints when it comes to B.Pharm, especially at Manipal at MCOPS. I will be making a separate video about M.Pharm, which is where I'll talk about my M.Pharm experience. But for B.Pharm, I think it is one of the best options available in India. Of course, you have like really good options, similar options in India like BITS or other colleges. If you get into that, of course, that would be really a hard comparison to make. But and especially if you're getting any kind of scholarship anywhere outside or in India. But if you are considering Manipal as an option for your B.Pharm, then I will definitely recommend you to go for it, and it will be a very wholesome and wonderful experience, like it was for me, and I'm sure for my batchmates. So yes, one of the things I'll say is that yes, it is expensive compared to other B.Pharm courses and colleges in India, but at the same time, it does give you a lot of facilities. The laboratories are top notch, and it does give you the international exposure. It gives you a platform for so many things. And yes, the placements as well. So all of these things considered, I think it is a great option to go for. And yeah, I think that's about it. Obviously, a lot of things are there where there is scope of improvement, like I mentioned, like the student exchange committee, like the practicals conducted, and some of the other things. I think like with time, everyone will eventually move forward, and there will be changes, like I mentioned. So that is there, and I hope that this video was useful for you guys. I had the best time in Manipal. I was part of so many college activities, Genesis, Sanskriti, annual day programs, be it any extracurricular activities at VSO, participating in Pharmacora, which is like this academic sort of event in the college where we present posters and like have oral competitions for like our research and all of that. So it was really amazing. I hope that you guys have some similar memories which you can share about Manipal. If you do, then comment below. If you are an alumni or a student, senior or junior, and you want to share any of your thoughts regarding your BPharm experience in Manipal, leave that in the comment below. I'll try to pin that comment so that other people who are reading it, who are watching this video, can look at it and find it useful most probably. And yeah, that's about it. I'm going to make a separate video for MPharm. I'm going to make a separate video for placements if this video does well. And I hope you found this video useful and it has brought you one step closer to. On that note, I'm going to come to an end of this video. I hope you found it useful. If you are my batchmate, my senior and junior, I wish you are well and doing good. If you want to connect with me in a professional manner, please reach out to me on my LinkedIn. I'll put it in the description below, and all the links which I've mentioned I'm going to be putting in the description, so please check that out in case you're looking for something in particular. And I'll be creating more videos, like 2 or 3 more videos related to Manipal University and experience. Of course, it would have been ideal if I would be able to go to Manipal and show you around, but I hope that some of these pictures and clips that I've included will make up for that. So yeah, that was about it. Please make sure to like this video if you found it useful. Share it with your friends who would want to join BPharm at MCOPS. Share it with your juniors and seniors, alumni, anyone who would like this video. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and please do subscribe to my channel if you find it interesting, if you like this kind of videos and want to see more videos in the future. So hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification button so every time I upload a video you get notified. On that note, this is goodbye from me, Nishma Khetia. Until next time, bye bye and take care.